Okay, so yeah, that's our plan for tonight. Is we're going to talk about Discovery because we've reached the mid-season finale. We don't get it back until January. Sad face.
What's the actual date?
I think the 18th.
Okay.
7th.
man.
The 7th?
Okay.
That's
Yeah.
what it says in this little thingy you brought us.
Yeah, the episode guide that Kara was so graciously.
I
gave it
came
to us, but-
prepared.
She
came
really
prepared.
did.
January 7th, yeah.
Yes, it's January 7th.
January 7th. Okay, so yeah, that's...
One more time for the people in the back. January 7th.
What was that?
I'm sorry, did you say January what?
70th.
The 7th day of 2018.
2018. Can y'all
Remember,
believe it's almost
remember.
here?
It's the 7th of January.
Weird.
That's kind of a minute.
It's crazy.
Oh.
Anyway, back to Discovery.
Oh, Discovery.
Have you discovered Discovery yet?
You should.
Did anyone notice, you know, when Tilly and Michael Burnham were running around, you know, they had their, like, running outfit tracksuit or whatever?
Disco on it?
Disco. I don't know why.
Disco.
Stay alive, stay alive. Stay alive.
I took that Zohan, but they took it there.
Okay, so far, what would y'all say is y'all's favorite episode of Discovery? Since we've all seen all 9 episodes, I think.
What's...
I think my favorite episode was the time loop one.
That's
It was
mine
just
too.
very interesting.
Yeah.
But I don't like Mudd. I like Mudd as an actor and a character, but he's a crappy person. He's not going to treat, what's her name, Stella right.
No, he's so
That was brilliant how they got rid of him.
It really
yeah.
was. It really was.
I think he should have gone to jail for a really long time. Like they should have locked him up just like that. 'Cause I mean,
It was a good deal that he got. He got to
Yeah,
go with
he
the woman.
doesn't have to go to
Another guy was
jail.
like, you're not dead anymore.
He has to have a horseshoe up his ass or something.
I mean,
Because-
there's something terrible's got to happen right there. That's
Yeah.
I mean, that was worse than prison somehow.
And the father, I don't know. That was just.
It was
As
strange.
long as my daughter's happy.
Yeah, he's like, now he's off the hook. I'm like, no.
No. But did you have a favorite episode?
I think it when Lorca got captured
Mm-hmm. That was.
and
a good
when we first saw Mudd. And this not specific. I love that episode. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head right now. I'm sure we have the butcher.
Choose your pain.
Choose your pain.
Yeah, because he kept.
That's
yeah.
the one. Yeah.
Look at the noob! Look at the noob!
Yeah.
You did your homework,
Pat,
girl.
pat on the back.
Yeah.
We'll get 2 pats on the
Get
back.
over there.
There, pat her on the back. No.
That one because of like how when Saru took over and he listed all he asked for, because you really saw a lot of character like improvement there. Like
Yeah.
he gained confidence in himself, specifically the end when he said delete all that. He
was getting on my nerves. I just gotta say, he was really on my list of I don't like you characters.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that really struck me as like that was like, wow, you really started to hate him for a minute.
It was the likability that you
Yeah,
got.
he had all of that likability in the beginning. Everybody just like, oh, Saru's so cool. He's such an interesting character. And then he got like, well, we just saw some dark side of that guy right there.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got some demon in him, and I really enjoyed. You really saw that character development where he, when he at the end, he tried to like do that program.
The self-evaluation.
Yeah,
type
basically
thing.
self-evaluation. He's like, no, I don't need that self-evaluation. I have my confidence. He gained his confidence there.
Yeah,
I like
And-
that part.
Gain a little bit more respect
And
for
then,
Saru.
and then when they released the tardigrade into space at the end,
Yeah.
that was my heart.
Yeah.
Cool size, it was great. It was.
And it just warped off. That was
See you
awesome.
later. And then Stamets. But of course, if Stamets hadn't have done the experiment on
Mhm.
himself, he wouldn't have been able to get them out of the loop that Harry Mudd put him in.
Yeah, it's true.
And he would be unlikable still to me if he had not done that.
Yeah, he was a little rough
I
around the
giggled.
edges at
I
first.
giggled in it. I loved it. I loved it. It was so great.
Yeah, he definitely has some darkness in him.
Mm-hmm.
But it's such a good character. I at first didn't like him either, but I love him now.
But
I'm worried about him.
I know. I knew something was going to happen. He's like, just one more time. I'm like, no, it never works out
it's
like
never
that.
just one.
It
Have
never
you ever seen
works
any
out.
horror movie?
Yeah.
Well, when we were
Just
watching
one
it,
more.
when I was watching it, Matt was there with me, and it was something was fixing to happen. I was like, he's gonna die. I know, he's just gonna die. I know, they're fixing to kill him. I was just resigned to the fact. And then when they show the scenes for the next season and I saw him, I'm like, okay, he's not dead yet.
I feel a little bit better.
He just got, albino now, or not albino.
Yeah, he
he's
did
blind now.
Glaucoma or something.
Yeah.
He's got glaucoma.
And
Seriously.
I noticed they were making his hair and eyelashes blonder and blonder as the process went on. I could see that kind of change.
Yeah, maybe it becomes an albino. You never know. Maybe that could be like a thing. Like he gets really pale, like super gothic.
I think he's on some like parallel universe or something. Like there's two sides to him that we're not seeing.
I think that we are talking about Stamets, right?
Mhm.
Because I was lost for about 30 seconds. But anyway, I think he's able, because when he came out of the chamber and he was talking to Tilly and he said, "What are you doing down here, Captain?" Do you remember that?
What are you
Yeah.
doing?
He was like disoriented a little
Oh
bit.
yeah.
and-
Okay.
I feel like he can exist on different planes.
Different timelines too.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's what I mean. And in a lot of the Star Trek, we've seen alternate timelines.
Yeah.
And I think maybe he has somebody in an alternate timeline, but the Stamets we know can also exist. Does that make sense?
Like in the multiverse, where
Yeah.
like everybody has their own self in another
Right.
universe.
Yeah.
I think that Lorca is from the Mirror Universe.
Do you?
Yes, I think when he had to blow up that ship,
Uh-huh.
I think there's something we don't know, and somehow the Mirror Universe Lorca got switched somehow in that whole thing, and he's trying to go back to the Mirror Universe, and that's why he's trying to use this ship.
So
Sword
go
drive
back
and
because
everything,
he
yeah.
feels like he's betrayed
Like,
because he didn't.
no, I think he's just trying to get home.
Okay.
I think he's from the Mirror Universe. That's why he's so dark and always studies war, and he's very he has a lot of traits in the Mirror Universe people.
Yeah.
And I think that he just jumped. I think that's what the end of the last episode is. They jumped in the Mirror Universe. Watch
Ooh.
the internet. It's gonna
Yeah,
happen.
because
Yeah.
they were in the place they
They
didn't
married.
recognize.
Yeah.
It was
Mhm.
like in that bubble thing.
Something
And
happened
Saru
there.
couldn't figure out where they were.
Right.
So
I really hope it's not the Borg, though.
Oh God.
Please don't be the
Please.
Borg.
No, if
I'm over Borg.
I don't want the next known character or known species to be the Borg that we get introduced to. I want to see some Andorians.
Yeah, give me some of them blues.
Yeah,
I want some blue.
when Mud
Give me
came
some
out of that space whale
Mhm.
with that helmet on, I just knew it was going to
Oh,
be
it's
a
the
fucking
Hogan
Andorian.
thing. I know
just
what you
knew
mean.
it was going to
Oh,
be an
man.
Andorian.
Either that or like a really cute teddy bear alien. That would have been cute.
Hey, so we were talking about Paul Stamets. So what do you think about him and the Doctor?
It's beautiful.
I think that the Doctor is wants to clock him upside the head sometimes.
Yeah.
well, yeah. It was sweet when he said, "I'll go to the opera with you." I'm like, God, I'm about to cry. It's
I
so
know.
Oh,
sweet.
that was.
And I love the story of how they met when Burnham and Stamets are dancing at
Yes.
the time loop
That's-
on, and he tells them, basically, we're honest with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that moment of real honesty that drew them together.
Those toothbrushes they had. Did you see any
Oh, some
bristles?
Sonic ass toothbrush.
It was weird. It
Gets
came
all
out. I
up
was
in
like,
there.
mm,
But there were no bristles, right? I mean, it's like
Yeah, so
just
probably
a
should- I-
Sonic.
like air.
For what,
Like they take sonic showers.
the super nerds on the internet, it shoots out little vibrations like a sonic shower.
so it
Ah.
knocks the
Mhm.
plaque off. Oh, interesting.
I could use one of those.
So you don't have to rinse.
I knew you looked into that.
Maybe you do.
I don't know. Did they rinse? I don't remember seeing them rinse.
I didn't
They
see them
did.
rinse.
I remember what I was gonna say now.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
What were
right.
you gonna say?
Would you like a drum roll?
Please tell
as
us.
well?
Okay, so when he was about to go into put himself in the spore drive that last time,
Mhm.
and the doctor walks in and says, "This is going to monitor you," and Tilly's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you told him about the side effects you're having."
No,
And he was like,
He's like,
gives her the
Oh.
look of death.
that was perfect Tilly though. That was
Yeah.
perfect
It was.
Tilly.
That's like totally something I would do.
Dry snitching people.
What does everybody think of Tilly?
I like
She's
Tilly.
adorable.
I like her.
Yeah.
She's really cute.
I like her.
I
I liked her
I
in
like
the,
their bond. Her and Burnham.
yeah, and I like
And
seeing
that
the
hair.
different side of her.
Yes, I love her hair.
I know. I've always
I'm
wanted
so
hair
jealous
like
of
that.
her hair.
I like her body. Like she's just very full bodied.
Yeah, she's not
Yeah, she's
like
not
what
the
you would
twig,
expect
yeah.
to be, you know.
Because there has been a lack of heavier people in Star Trek over the years,
Yep.
and I want to say that I appreciate a little booty in Star Trek.
Buddha, 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 rocking everywhere. Buddha, 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 rocking everywhere. Okay.
Okay, we'll stop right there.
I'm so much fun editing this.
And so yeah, I'm a little happy because apparently people aren't fat in space. Whatever. So yeah, it's nice having.
You're telling
some
me
extra-
though, I mean, according to the Federation, everything's free. Not really
Yeah.
free, but
I would eat so much junk.
right? I mean,
And everything's at your fingertips. You can just be like cappuccino and it pops out. So you
Yeah.
can get anything.
Oxygeno.
Twinkies,
Yeah.
whatever.
Ding
I don't
dong.
really like Twinkies, but
Like ding dong. Shut up.
we won't go there.
a ho ho and a ding dong.
It's my hostess cakes.
So who's y'all's favorite character on Discovery? Mine
Just kind of
off the top your
changes
head.
through every episode.
Oh, it
Yeah,
does.
it really does. It fluctuates a lot. All around, I don't know if I can make that decision. What about you?
I don't really. I'm kind of like y'all. I don't really have a loyalty to anybody.
Anybody?
I do like Saru a little bit better.
Mhm.
I'm wary for reasons that we'll talk about later about Ash Tyler.
I like him too, but he's so creepy looking.
He's pretty for sure, but
With his threat ganglia.
And the
needs-
nails
if he's
and the
gonna-
hooves, it's just.
oh wait, I thought we were talking about Ash there. for a
Oh, you're
second.
talking about Saru.
Yeah, I was talking about Ash.
Oh,
I'm like,
yeah,
he's
we're
we're
pretty.
talking
talking-
about different people.
Well, his
My
beard
bad.
though, I feel like it's like in the in between,
Mm.
but he's keeping it in the in between.
That's like a thing, probably. I don't know. It's a Hollywood thing, I'm
It's
sure.
a hipster thing.
It's a hipster thing.
Ash Tyler, hipster.
What?
I mean, he
what-
doesn't.
I like the eyeliner too.
He's space hipster.
Yeah, space hipster. And it was interesting
He
to
does
me
look
that
cute.
they still listen to rap.
I mean, it's
Like at the party, yeah.
That's great.
It's timeless.
It's timeless, man. It's classic now. And they got. I like that the lights were like boom, 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 boom. You know, that was into that.
That seemed like a cool party. There were people kissing outside.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
making
always.
out, leaning up.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
to me, I like that because that's the side of the, all of the other Star Trek series, you have the ships with the families and stuff, but it was always orderly and perfect. People walking
yeah.
around the halls. It didn't really show what true life was like on it. To me, I feel this was a better representation.
Yeah.
Yeah, not so weirdly idyllic.
Yeah, this is kind of like movie night on Enterprise. Where
Yeah.
we watched in
With the popcorn,
with the
yeah.
popcorn. They kind of got to talking and stuff. They weren't all perfect and stuff. Sometimes, a lot of times, it was still a little,
And Paul was always shushing people.
yeah. But it had that kind of feel to it to me.
Yeah.
It was obviously more engaged to like people, younger people now. I could say younger people now. I could say that things. I remember 20 years ago. Vividly.
Yeah, so do I. That's good.
Yeah.
Why did you have to say
We're
that?
I'm a
Please.
terrible
I'm
person.
depressed
Sorry.
now.
Those kinds of parties, those exist in a lot of normal people's lives, and throw it on something like that, and especially I'm sure that like you go on some. If anybody ever military or anything? No, they're not military. It's okay.
No.
I'm not either though. But you see. I read a lot about it. I talk to people. They have things like they'll throw a party, like the movie Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
Yeah.
You ever see that? It's this great movie about a war correspondent. It had what was her name? The girl from
Tina
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 Fey.
Fey. There we go. She goes over and then in the middle of this war, great crazy war thing going on. They have a big basically a rave. In the middle, there's bombs going off all over the place, but they need to. From all this craziness that is going on in the world, in the middle of the war, you gotta blow off some steam. So they had a big party.
Somewhere
so
to let
what it-
loose. And
Yeah.
And that's how it felt to me. It was kind of
Yeah.
like that.
Because it's wartime, and they keep pushing that, especially
Yeah.
with Captain Lorca. It's always like, we're in war. You've heard that several times throughout the show.
Yeah, he's always loves some war, man. Whew.
So I'm not as familiar with original series. So in that, when original series started, what was the relationship between the Federation and the Klingons?
It's like Cold War, basically.
So they'd
They-
already
yeah.
finished fighting. It was
Yeah, they
we're
had,
just
they,
going to
they
stand
had,
on our sides.
Yeah, they had the
later.
Garth of Izar, had his war where he was the hero of the war with the Klingons that happened at some point before Enterprise. I don't remember the exact, how 10 years or 2 years or whatever. But socially it was supposed to be like the Russians and America. You know, that's how it was supposed to be, like portrayed in real life. But in the canon of the show, yeah, there was a Garth. They always talk about Garth Izar a bunch of times
Okay.
throughout the entire thing, and
I need to finish watching those.
And it was the Kittimore Accords, right? That
yeah, that came. I can't remember if that came after or before an original series right now though. 'Cause
See, I can't remember because I remember them talking about it in Next Generation.
yeah.
You know, but I can't remember.
I think that happened after this Enterprise C, sacrificed itself to save some Klingons from some Romulans, and then I think that's when the Kittimore Accords happened, and then there was peace.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
I think that's what happened.
That's what we'll say. That's
Comment
what
below.
happened. So, what do you think of the new Klingons?
Into them.
I like them. I feel like any species evolves and changes,
Mhm.
and why couldn't they? But it's so weird though when they turn around because there's no hair.
Yeah.
That's the only thing. But it doesn't really bother me, and you can see the shapes of their really.
Because
cool
all the other
skulls.
Klingons that had been,
Yeah,
they always have hair.
Yeah, they had big things.
Yeah, there's been varying looks of the Klingons.
I read a fan theory about that though, about how the Klingons were. Is that these are fundamentalist Klingons that are higher. You know how like Klingons you see in the original series were the augmented Klingons. We call those the augmented Klingons.
Yeah.
Because of that. And then you've got the ridge Klingons. And then you got like in Star Trek 6, you had General Chang, who kind of looked like an augmented Klingon, kind of looked like a regular Klingon. So that's like a hybridization.
Yeah, that's.
And
yeah.
then I think that these are. I really think it's probably not true, but what I read is that they think that they're like the older pre-augment Klingons that are still around, still in the hierarchy, running the High Council, blah blah blah, and they're like the people who are augmented Klingons are kind of like a lower class.
Oh, like, yeah, that makes sense.
And so at some point between this and maybe the war even could do it. We haven't seen any though, so it may not happen. But how they could like revolt against them and trying to like get some higher status in life. But I think that's kind of cool because they're always talking about like remaining Klingon, and it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, but I mean, we've seen that they have outcasts just by the way that they treated Vought.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
for
he's
skin.
Because for being an albino, they
So yeah, it fits.
they considered him to be a lower social class, so that would make sense that they would have other kinds of lower class sections.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it would because they have very high standards for their honor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They're purists.
I definitely like the makeup effects for them because, like the Klingons that I've seen in earlier like movies, they look upsetting, like they have a chip on their shoulder, but they don't look like
They do.
scary as hell.
Molly,
These
today
It's
it's a good day to die, girl.
Ah! Okay.
yeah, I recently watched a DS9 episode, the one where Curzon Dax's 3 old friends came to the
yeah,
station,
yeah.
and they were going to go hunt the albino that killed their children.
Mhm.
And Dax had to make the decision that she was going with them. And just like they're 3 old men, barely are living, coughing their heads off. I mean, it was just like quintessential cheesy Klingon.
But Molly, so you
Oh, yeah.
so you
They
think
were a
these,
lot of fun.
do you think these new Klingons are, you said, more aesthetically pleasing? Is that what
They,
you
they
mean?
just they just look very scary. Like the makeup looks really good on them. I like the colors. And then I think like me and you have talked before that like the makeup effects kind of look like the vampires from Buffy.
Yeah.
I mean that's what they look like to me. I
Yeah.
thought it was the same
I
makeup
haven't thought
artist.
about that in a long time.
Yeah,
Wow.
they do, especially when they get pissed and they show their
That
jaggedy
weird
teeth.
teeth. It's
Yeah.
like this long. It looks like it's like an inch and a half wide.
Yes.
It like goes up in 2
They just-
points. And it's like a hound's tooth or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely are interesting. I like them a lot. I like their head ridges in the back. I
That's
noticed
cool,
that too
those
about
over,
no
yeah.
hair.
Yeah.
It was really cool. And then
The
I like
quad
how
nostril.
I can't tell if the armor, the ridges on their shoulders, is actually part of them or if it's just part of their armor.
The things that go up like this, I believe that's armor.
Yeah.
And then the girls was like painted red. It looked
Yeah,
like
it's
like
like
fingers,
tips.
like fingertips. Yeah.
Yeah. Even I thought it was like jewels or something too. That'd be cool.
Molly and I noticed this the other night. Saru's fingertips.
Oh, I haven't seen. I don't remember what that's like.
They almost look like I don't know, inverted. I don't know. It
They're
just,
weird looking. They are very weird looking. I don't like them.
No likey, no likey.
I
Okay.
don't-
And he was running so fast.
He was
In
with
that
his
forest.
hooked feet.
Yeah, because he grew like where he's from. They have the predator and the prey, and he was the prey species.
He was meant to sense death.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But his race, the Kelpians, this is a brand new race they created for Discovery. So this is not, we've never seen this type of alien in Star Trek before. So, and then I also read that he has to wear, like the actor who plays him is like over 6 feet tall. And then he has to wear these special boots that make his feet look like the hooves. And so when he walks on it, he's just walking on the balls of his feet. That's why it looks like he's kind of doing this glide. Because of those heels
It's
he's
very
walking in.
alien the way he walks.
Yeah.
I
The
dig
guy's
it.
doing a good job with him, but he's still not all the way on my good list yet.
He
What was
hasn't
it?
redeemed himself.
It was a
He
while
hasn't
ago.
redeemed himself enough yet.
And I remember watching an After Trek episode where they were talking to him, or they were talking about him, and they were talking about his butt. And in the show, they have him make it look like he pretty much has no butt. And so he was talking about all these other shows that he's been on where he plays like a long alien and stuff like that. He's got all the prosthetics and stuff. They always put a prosthetic butt on him. But the guy who was, whoever was directing or whatever was like, no, leave the butt off. It makes him look more alien if he's got no butt. So
God.
I thought that was really nifty.
Can I just say now that we're talking about butt, Stamets has a really good, nice butt. He does, because there was a profile of him and Lorca talking, and Lorca's just, and he was like, bloop. I was like,
They did-
wow.
they
Good for
did do a
him.
good job with the uniforms, making
They did.
some butt action here.
They really
So
did.
I'm not gonna lie.
They are good
Lorca butt.
uniforms, and they're not super tight like Seven of
Oh
Nines.
yeah, that ridiculous spandex.
Yeah.
I want to say right now that Discovery had the best first episode of any Star Trek show ever.
I can agree with that.
Not because it didn't, because a lot of people were like, who've talked about how, like the thing about Star Trek shows that set you up with all the different characters, introduce you to all the characters, but this one didn't. It just kind of like just throw you in the action, and how that's very much different. But it was the most engaging. I enjoyed watching the first episode more than I enjoyed watching any of the other first episodes.
Yep.
The story, hinted on little things, but it wasn't a complete story,
Right.
which is, I think is part of modern storytelling.
It is, and it makes you want to come back for
Yeah, it's
more.
like